YouTube, man. You that just clicked the video, bro. Hey, congratulations, bro. Your balls finally dropped. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe, and join the game, bro. Hey, I don't know who your last YouTuber was, your last favorite YouTuber, that Jitta Gook. I'm your new favorite YouTuber. Hey, but on this channel, we get straight into this. Y'all see, Golden State, you know Curry just went off. You know Curry, it's just Curry. He's the GOAT. Curry the GOAT, Curry the GOAT, Curry the GOAT. You feel me? He just took over against the Kings, and the Lakers, I don't know. I don't know how much I could believe the Lakers right now. Like, cause we just gonna have to see how this series go. But today we about to react to the NBA got what they wanted. The thumbnail is Curry and LeBron, so let's see what they talking about in this.
All right, just like I did yesterday for the Eastern Conference, I want to do it for the West now. Basically, just tell the story of the first round series and predict what I think is going to happen in the second. I think the Western Conference is more interesting right now. It's less injured, it's less random, and yeah, in the first round, I actually ended up getting all the series right. I believe I even called the amount of games on 2 of them, so this is a lot of fun. Particularly because I was actually more confused about the West than I was the East if you go back and watch that video, but let's go ahead and start with the good stuff. 7 games of the Warriors and Kings that came to fruition. I said the Warriors were going to win in 7. They did win in 7. I believe that the main deterrent to a Golden State in 7 prediction would have been, look at their road record, but I just... we're 8 years into watching the Warriors compete for championships now, and I just don't think there was a world where I could have used their regular season road record against them. They went out and they won 2 road games. I can't explain what happened with the road record in the regular season, but I just knew for this specific group, it did not matter in a playoff setting. So that played into it. But I do have to give the Sacramento Kings all of the credit in the world. They fought like hell, and more specifically, I believe they answered more Golden State Warrior runs than I have seen nearly any team answer. This series was really like one team would go up 10 and then the other team would catch back up, and another team would hit some shots that seemed killer, but then the other one would come right back, and I just am not used to seeing teams match Golden State like that almost ever. Hell, the Celtics really couldn't do it last year. So the Kings in their first playoff run, young team, the fact that they did that, and then when momentum was totally not on their side and they had lost 3 straight, they were able to go into the Warriors' home and convincingly win a game 6. Yeah, it's a fight like I've never seen before, but at the end of the day, the Warriors just did a lot of championship shit. That's what it comes down to. Kevon Looney has a role and he just plays that. He had 3 games in this series with 20 plus rebounds. He needed to go out there, set screens, hand off the ball sometimes, be the best Stonewall he could be against Sabonis so he couldn't bully him, and rebound. That was pretty much it, and he just did that to perfection. He's got to be one of my favorite role players of all time. In a series that goes 7 games, I think the Kings just had too many things working against them with not a lot of
Dorini!
For instance, it was kind of just built in from the start that
I love
Sabonis
Golden State so much,
high PNR was going to be an issue, that was going to open up slips, that was going to open up ball movement for the Warriors, cutters, hell, layup, shooters. Anything you can imagine. The Warriors had options. They used that without even really abusing it. They didn't just spam it over and over. They used it when they needed to and got what they wanted. But see, the problem becomes you cannot have that built-in flaw on one end. And
how are you supposed to? How you supposed to?
And that gets hard to do.
How you supposed to guard that,
Kevin
bro?
Huerter shooting in the 20s for a 3-point percentage. Harrison Barnes, same thing. For the start of the series, Keegan Murray did not play well. He ended up picking
that one.
up.
Yo, Harrison Barnes folded on that one game winner. If he would have hit that, I ain't gonna lie, that would have shut some people up.
The razor thin margins, it really felt like it hurt that, okay, you don't know what you're gonna get from your shooters. You don't know if Malik Monk is just gonna be decent or if he's gonna be Jordan. I think they might have been able to benefit from some Terrence Davis minutes earlier. And so if De'Aaron Fox wasn't absolutely cooking, you kind of just had to find out on the fly where else you were going to get something consistent. And it was really back and forth. So the things that I'm talking about kind of made a difference. really in the margins. But I'll tell you
Hey.
something else that was built in on the offensive end. Domantas Sabonis being guarded like he's Ben Simmons. For any contending team now and forever, if you have a player that can be defended like he's Ben Simmons and you do not have all-time shooters surrounding him, it's going to be difficult. And particularly with Sabonis having to basically crash into the chest of Kevon Looney to get any buckets and basically just attempt to play bully ball like I said earlier, it's going to clog things. They were baiting him all series saying, please take the three, which he didn't take many of. Please take the midi. Please just walk and flip up this little floater. We absolutely prefer that to De'Aaron Fox getting down the lane or Malik Monk drawing fouls or really anything else. They got a lot of that, and Sabonis could not hurt them enough. So these are just small things that I think ended up making a difference by the end. Of course, when you got to Game 7,
this nigga showing straight missed shots.
Just really the Warriors out-rebounded them, but especially Kevon Looney. Some of it was effort. Some of it was Sabonis being up so high and having to try to rebound after being involved in PNR. Very, very tiny coaching decisions, like having Harrison Barnes in for the last play of the game. And if you were watching, I called the entire play before. Put 2 on De'Aaron Fox.
You swear it, shit.
Barnes, you will be more than fine. It's exactly what they did. I feel like anybody could have seen that. Harrison Barnes taking the game-winning 3 was a delight for anyone who was familiar with this game, and especially in Golden State. If that had a win, you're looking at a 3-1 series. Instead, you lose in 7. Finally, end of the day, just championship experience. I don't think the Kings folded the entire series until the second half of Game 7. They got into a situation where they were in the penalty. Golden State's keeping a 6-8 point lead, but Steph is going off, and so now you're just afraid because you're waiting for the moment where he really breaks your back. That did end up happening. The Warriors just do not die. They are headed to the second round. I could seriously make a whole 30-minute video on this series. One day, I probably will, but for now, that's all I'm going to say about it. It was a good fight. The Kings need to let Harrison Barnes go and get a player that I would not consider filler in his place.
What are the Lakers?
They advanced to play the winner of Lakers and Grizzlies.
After the Lakers, I'm stopping this video.
I had Lakers in 7. They ended up taking care of business because
I'm from Miami.
There's
I really want to see
a lot of
Golden
different
State
things you
Lakers.
could dive into with this series. I do want to give a hand to Ja Morant for playing through that injury. I felt
that shit was crazy.
Once he hurt that, I thought he would be totally ineffective. I thought that the Lakers would just dare him to shoot, and he still ended up playing considerably well given the circumstances. But overall, I think Memphis, well, they lost this series to a couple of things, but the one I want to point out the most is Anthony Davis. He might have struggled to put 2 great games together, like back to back, but his defense, what did we get? 55 blocks in 6 games?
What?
And that's just counting the blocks. That's not counting him deterring shots. That's not counting him changing shots. That's not counting a lot of other things that he did on defense. It was a defensive masterclass. On the topic of Anthony Davis, I do think it quite obviously the Grizzlies not to have their big bodies available outside of Jaren Jackson and Tillman, because in a normal world they would have had Steven Adams and Brandon Clark as well. Specifically in the series where AD was dominating, having more bodies to throw down there probably would have helped a little bit. Maybe it would have made the difference in some of these closer games. But of course,
I ain't gonna lie, I'm really thinking about it like, who's gonna fuck with AD on Golden State? Hey, Kevon Looney step up. I ain't gonna lie, his overall will go up, and I hope his overall do go up. He just need a. I feel like Kevon Looney. The only problem I got with Kevon Looney is like he's not aggressive enough for me. Like I feel like he big as hell. Like he need to start jamming shit down. Like
I don't think that you had consistent effectiveness from.
But he do be getting them boards
to the tune that you needed to win a series like this. It was one thing for Morant to try to figure out the coverage that he was going to be seeing. I spoke on that before the series, but they definitely needed Desmond Bane to be better than he was. And on the topic of what a team may have needed, the Lakers at some point or another in this series got what they needed from their extra guys. I mean, D'Angelo Russell coming in the last game being as effective as he was, that was another point. I said if in the playoffs he actually makes his shots, that opens up a whole new world. And in the games that he did that, it did. Rui Hachimura came in and on both sides of the ball made a difference, not to mention game 1 where it seemed he had fulfilled all of his potential at once. They were able to execute the defensive game plan involving Jared Vanderbilt without him getting played off the floor. They were able to use him
Good
plan
fucking
involving Jared
block.
Vanderbilt without him getting played off the floor. They were able to use him effectively enough that they didn't have to basically Isaac Okoro him and take all his minutes. And of course, when you needed Austin Reeves, you had him.
My white boy.
Now, the
I'm him.
extracurricular stuff.
Hey, glad.
I think that sometimes when we talk about experience in a series,
Lakers always
or
got some
team
white
being
nigga
ready, it can sound
that be
cliche,
doing shit.
but the Dillon Brooks moment was just all of that personified. I can't figure out for the life of me what he was doing after they won one game, poking the bear. I don't get it. I specifically don't get it because he did not even play the troll or villain well. You have guys in the league that do that and they take their L's and they live to fight another day, or they just kind of live that persona and whatever comes with it. But Brooks, he got so ridiculous with it in that press conference. I really thought he was completely trolling and he did not care what happened, but when it came time to answer for it, he didn't. He ducked it like someone who did care what would happen. I cannot figure out why he did that, but he didn't just fire up LeBron with that, he fired up the team. And to make matters worse, he was complete ass. I think the only thing he brought to the series was some physicality in the low post every now and then, but as Doris Burke said, no athleticism, no elite shooting. And so in a series where Desmond Bane pretty grossly underperformed his regular season efficiency averages, and
He
Dillon
sure
Brooks
straight
sucked, and they were
misses.
already missing two bodies, and then Luke Kennard went out when it seemed like the Grizzlies might be able to open things up for Ja a little bit more. There was a whole lot working against them. The Lakers ended up being the first to
That's
get
a
to their
foul.
best points. Memphis
Why
was
didn't they call
humbled,
that?
and they were not fine in the West. Meaning, we finally have the long-awaited Lakers-Warriors series. And honestly, the fans win this one 4-0. I say it because I really feel like once LeBron went to the Lakers, we all imagined that one day he would play Curry in the Western Conference. Injuries and a lot of stupid things prevented that from happening, yet we are finally here. Wow, this one is going to be extremely toxic for the narrative. It's going to be very toxic on Twitter. So I'm just going to try to talk about basketball here, because my team won't have to deal with either one of them for at least a few more rounds. It's just going to be fun watching everyone go to war. But in all seriousness, I am really happy to see this. It does feel like, given how long it took to get this might be the final time we see LeBron and Curry in a meaningful playoff series. So I'm just going to try to cherish it. As far as basketball, wow, this is a lot. Well, I guess the first place my mind goes after that amazing first round series by Steph Curry is, what is the Lakers matchup for him? You could pretty easily see what they were going to do with Jared Vanderbilt on Ja, but this is just so much different. You're not going under screens anymore. You're coming out to the hash. That also,
Yeah, it's like, to me, it's like who's gonna guard Curry, Clay, and if Poole show up for this series, who's gonna guard that? And then who's gonna fuck with AD? Unless Draymond really, if 2016 Draymond come out versus AD, they got a problem.
means AD's placement is going to be different, as he's not all the time just going to be kind of waiting on a floater or being able to contest a layup, or some mid-range shot. It's going to be playing a lot higher, which I know he's capable of, but I doubt you see the same type of effectiveness that you saw in the Memphis series. It's just a different setup. I'd be surprised if you saw 55 blocks in 6 games this time. And by now, hopefully you've learned you can't just escape the Curry problem. You can't really go, okay, well, we'll just trap him and get the ball out of his hands, because the Warriors are always moving. He is always moving. So if you do that, you're still going to have to chase him around and stop a second action. Steph is going to find a way to get his shots off. And although the Lakers are a better defensive team than
Greeny!
I don't think that they necessarily have great initial
I just love
matchups
shooters,
for them.
like.
Who really does, but there's not a Davion Mitchell to come in and make big plays on Curry as he had at the beginning of the series. Yet, I don't see as many easy layups, of course. I think once Steph really got it going, he kind of found his way into the paint and was able to finish with no real fear. You can drag AD out the way you drag Sabonis out, but AD is going to pursue you, and he is attempting blocks. He is still liable to get those stops that the Kings couldn't get. On the topic of AD, how is he going to play? How is he going to look in terms of aggressiveness? As mentioned in that Memphis series, for
Just
a lot
don't
of
get
it,
injured.
he couldn't.
AD
string
get injured,
two
it's over.
Really great games on both sides of the floor together.
LeBron,
Sometimes
I
you're
don't know.
wondering, why didn't he have a certain amount of
Can't
shots?
win by himself.
And while you aren't dealing with the Defensive Player of the Year anymore, you are dealing with Kevon Looney and Draymond Green. So I just want to see, like, if he does find a way to have a 27-point game 1, what does it look like in game 2? Does it immediately fall off? That's just the kind of thing that was happening. How much better of a LeBron James do we get in this series? Because while he was okay against the Grizzlies, it was not the all-time imposing LeBron that we're used to. He shot just abysmal from the 3. And there were points where I felt like he really didn't want to drive as much, and some may just call that the feel-out games, but you can't argue that it is not with the frequency that it used to be. And I especially am interested in that because now his matchup is going to be Andrew Wiggins. If he turns in another 19% from the three-point line series, but then also isn't able to really apply a whole bunch of rim pressure, where do the Lakers make up for that? You've got some wild cards, D'Angelo Russell, once again, off and on, but if all of a sudden he's hitting, just like the Grizzlies series, that changes the entire equation. Austin Reeves being effective in his minutes. Rui Hachimura, who not only had a great game 1, but he had a good and effective series. And if that set of role players just literally duplicates what they did in the Memphis series, I wonder on the Warriors side, okay, what are they getting from
He's trying Dilly Books.
Does Jonathan Kuminga see any minutes in this series? He was out of the rotation here. But specifically back to Jordan Poole, he underperformed his regular season badly. And that's on top of not bringing any defense. And so if those guys on the Lakers are able to get to their points and the Warriors are scrambling for support elsewhere outside of like Steph and Clay, that is very much going to factor in. And then I wonder, do the Warriors get the benefit of at certain points being able to go small? They went small for much of the series, putting Draymond to the bench after the suspension. I think they were a little bit tired of trying to figure out how to get Green and Kevon Looney to be most effective on the court together on the offensive end. They went back to it in game 7, but point remains, there is a time to hit the small button, and they were able to do that in the Sacramento series. But once again, how effective is that if Jordan Poole is ineffective? I guess because of the concepts, it still opens up looks for Steph, but I do wonder about that against this Lakers lineup that it can get pretty big, and once again, they can still kind of play small with Anthony Davis. Like, he's a big body, but if they want to go small around him, you still have that same ability. I'm beginning to hurt my head talking about this series and all the things that could happen. I'm just going to go Lakers in 6. I think that for the Warriors in that Kings series, by design, a lot of the times, some of it was by design. Either way, the Kings had a lot of open shots, and if they would have just had 1 or 2 guys shoot a little bit better, we would be looking at the Kings in the second round. There's just a lot of things that you aren't going to be able to exploit in this series. You're not going to be able to treat Anthony Davis like he's Ben Simmons. You probably don't want to give too many of these Lakers guys open shots over and over again. My theory is that the rim pressure is going to go up. This is not a team that's just going to be lost when a guy like De'Aaron Fox doesn't have it going. They've got more options to get to, and the Warriors have less that they can just give away in the name of not giving up something else. So I think that splits the hairs for me, and yeah.
I ain't gonna lie, I look you want DeAndre.
Then of course on the other
to get a fucking ring. That nigga. They need to find a way to get Damian Lillard to the Lakers. Other than that, if you like, comment, subscribe.